Hey there, California 27. It's Congressman Mike Garcia wrapping up actually a very strong week in Washington, D.C., heading home for this weekend. Wanted to give you an update on everything that's happening here, not just this week, but coming up next week as well. This week we honored the Gold Star families of our 13 American troops who were tragically killed at the Abbey Gate explosion during the Afghanistan debacle, the evacuation. Pay tribute to their families, let them know that they have a nation that's indebted to them and grateful, and that frankly their loved ones' deaths were unnecessary, and we need to avoid that in the future, obviously. Also honored the 23rd anniversary of 9/11 and nearly 3,000 folks who were killed on that tragic day. It's a reminder that evil still does exist out there, and that we've got to be mindful of our security, and we've got to take care of our troops, take care of our veterans. Which brings me to the fact that about 1 in 5 of our veterans right now, about 20% or so of our veterans actually served post 9/11. And those folks, just like all of the other veterans, are actually on the fringe of losing their benefits starting on September 20th, so at the end of next week, if we don't pass a bill to get the VA whole. The VA has effectively run out of money. They've got a shortfall of about $2.88 billion right now, which means that every veteran out there would lose their pensions. They would lose their GI Bill benefits and other benefits like burial rights, et cetera, life insurance policies. So they have screwed this up, they being the VA. My job is to fix it. I introduced a bill that brings not only the $2.88 billion in supplemental funding to close that gap for our veterans, but also requires oversight and accountability so that the VA comes to us, explains where they screwed up and how they're going to fix this to prevent this in the future. As the number of veterans continues to rise, the number of benefits for our veterans continues to rise. We've got to make sure that we keep that budget whole, and we got to make sure that the VA is executing that budget and managing that budget correctly. So that VA supplemental bill will come to the floor next week. Should pass the House. I'm confident it'll pass the Senate, and I'm hopeful and optimistic that the President realizes the value of this. This isn't a political issue. This is literally just keeping our veterans paid in the midst of what is otherwise a shortfall by the VA. So this affects about 7 million veterans out there. This week, we passed a bill, my bill, HR 7686, which is the malign foreign talent, which basically closes a loophole in the CHIPS Act. If you remember, the CHIPS Act was a multi-billion-dollar bill that we passed and signed into law a couple years ago to help the U.S. catch up on semiconductor production and development. But within that act, unfortunately, we had an open clause that effectively allowed some of that money to end up going to China, which is literally the opposite effect that we wanted. So my bill, HR 7686, prevents China from getting access to that CHIPS money through universities, through research labs, through whatever means, and make sure that your taxpayer dollars aren't actually going to the CCP to help them in any effort. So that passed the House. Hopefully that gets bipartisan support as well. In the Senate, by the way, I think everyone except for maybe a handful of folks ended up voting for my bill, so that's another shining example of bipartisan behavior patterns in the interest of national security, which is a good sign. We got that passed. Next week we talked about the supplemental for the VA. The other bill that I signed on to this week was HR 82, which is the Social Security Fairness Act, and what this does is it eliminates what's called the windfall elimination provision. This silly WEP or WEP is what prevents teachers and cops, firefighters from realizing their full Social Security benefits because they have other pensions, and other programs. The government, for some reason, has made it so that you can't, get your full Social Security benefits. HR 82 removes that provision so you can actually not be a victim and you can actually get the money that you paid. And that's your money, by the way, Social Security. You guys know I will do everything to support and defend Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. That cannot be jeopardized in any form or fashion. And this is a huge step forward in making sure that those who paid into it, regardless of their occupation, get their Social Security benefits back. So hopefully we can get that to a floor vote here very soon as well. This weekend I'll be home in the district. Next week I'll be back here in DC. This weekend I'll be participating in the Hispanic Heritage Parade in Lancaster, downtown Lancaster. So looking forward to seeing folks out there at that. as well as other events throughout the district. And then we also have, as a reminder, and we'll get more information out on social media and our newsletter, Service Academy nights coming up on September 30th. So if you or one of your children or grandchildren are interested in going to a service academy, I went to the Naval Academy, so a very great experience and opportunity. Please come to this event on September 30th. It'll be at College of the Canyons right there in Santa Clarita. It's where all the information on how to start the process for a military academy appointment starts coming out. So once again, guys, I want to just remind you that right now our nation is in a very precarious position. We are still vulnerable. 9/11 was 23 years ago. But the reality is we are just as vulnerable today as we were then. And my interest is to make sure that we secure the country. That's all forms: border security, economic security, national security, taking care of our troops, taking care of our veterans, taking care of our law enforcement, first responders. We're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of Deputy Ryan Klinkenbroomer's assassination in Palmdale. I'll be at a memorial service this week recognizing that tragic anniversary. But these are the people that provide us the security blanket. My job is to provide them the security, the funding, and the support at all levels that we can provide as well. So God bless, have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you next week. Take care, guys.